Yep.
And so I wanted to spend one more hour today on this. I did find why I couldn't talk to your machine.
Yep.
It was that damn, let's see if I can find the setting again. It was this setting right here. What was it? General. Login items. Why is
no,
this opening
it was.
Up? I know, but I don't want that opening up at login. Remember, I keep telling you that program keeps telling me install. It's not installed. It keeps adding it there. No, it wasn't here. Where was it?
In privacy. Here, hold on.
It was in privacy.
Yeah.
I don't remember where that was, but now it's important that we remember where it is.
Yeah, hold on. I'll find it.
Oh, here it is. Privacy
and security. Local network.
Local network. Ah, okay.
And then iTerm.
So just for documentation, all of this is turned off for me, except for I just turned iTerm on. Kevin luckily had iTerm. In fact, you have everything turned on there.
I have everything turned on. Yeah.
I always say no. Oh, this must be when that dumb message comes up and says, do you want this to be able to find other things on your network?
On your local network.
Oh my God, dude. I always say no because it like freaks me out.
Yeah.
So you always say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is
That's
why I couldn't make a socket connection to Kevin. Oh, wait a second, dude. I'm not even showing my screen. Damn it. So on my Mac, under the system settings, privacy and security, there's a local network. There it is. And anytime that message pops up asking if I want the program to be able to see things, I say no. And I had iTerm off. So this is why I couldn't make a connection to Kevin. Yet Kevin had it on.
Yeah.
And he was able to come back. I was driving me crazy, dude, because I was doing this stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I'm like, come on, dude. It couldn't have changed, right? We're on a local network, but it was a permissions thing. So now that this is running, here's the cool part. Let's get back to a terminal here. Now that this is running, we can do the following. Let me bring up another Ardan. Okay. So we tried this yesterday. There were bugs. And I told Kevin, we're not going to fix the bugs without being on the show.
Yep.
So I'm going to run the cap.
Oh, that's new.
What happened there? Is this like something that we posted yesterday? Cannot unmarshal hex string without 0 prefix. So this is some weird bug we just added.
Oh yeah, I got it too.
Yeah, but now when you run it again, it came out of the. We pushed something bad to Nats yesterday, and We got little buggy bugs, so let's just put it
Yeah.
that way. But we know we've got bugs, so we're gonna fix everything today.
Okay.
I'm gonna make run TUI. Okay, and you're running your cap, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna clear these logs. So if I double click, it now says that we established, I'm gonna fix this log line too, right? Establishing a peer connection with Kevin. Let me find this first of all. Oh, I hate that I can't do that. Establishing, it must be somewhere in the UI. Establishing user peer connection with.
Yep, there it is.
Okay, but that's weird. I should do that. That's why I didn't.
Yeah.
There's your ID. Oh, with Kevin ID. Okay, that's fine. I don't think we need to show the ID. Do you?
No.
No, I don't think so. Then this should be a dash, and then we should have seen TCP connection established, right?
Yeah, it should be the dash, and then on the next line, TCP.
All right, so let me do it again. Now you saw that drop, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I come back to Kevin. Failed to establish client already connected. So that's a problem, right? Because I dropped for show on your side, and then you see the drop there?
Yeah, I see drop.
We see the drop there. Okay, we're gonna test this on my side, so we can. We obviously didn't get rid of it in the. We obviously didn't get rid of it in that list. So the drop happened, but we didn't clean up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna fix that bug first. Let me push this up. Okay, so pull latest, and then what's gonna happen is you're gonna connect to me.
Yep.
But let me clear this log here. You're gonna connect to me, and then we're gonna figure out.
And connecting.
Connect to me. So
Connected.
okay, now what I want you to do is to kill your TUI.
Yep.
Okay, so so what's happening right now is because you haven't sent anything, I don't know that your socket connection's dropped. And now back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had sort of timeouts on these things. So it would let us sort of know. Because let me look at the code real quick, and we'll see where we're at in this code for a minute. We're in a situation where at the cap level, we've established a client connection. Okay, we are essentially in this read handler, waiting for that, and that read handler, if we remember, is essentially we're a server. We got a client connection, and we're waiting for data, right? So this is where we are right now. We're locked here.
Okay.
And because the socket connection isn't dropping, we're not failing, and we don't know that because we're at a buffer level here. We're not at a because this is interesting, right? So this is a problem for us. I don't know that you're gone. So we may have to change our logic to say that if you come back in, we drop the old one and allow the new one to get established. Because at this point, I don't know that you have dropped.
Yeah.
And this is because we are high above the TCP connection, right? We're high above the TCP connection. I wonder, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was weird.
It would be nice. See, what is read deadline? See, we might need to set a read deadline. Sets the deadline for future read calls and any currently blocked read calls. A zero value means it will not time out. So this is sort of where we're at right now.
So essentially, if it doesn't see anything within a certain amount of time, it's going to...
I know, but that still doesn't mean that our socket connection is bad. It just means that we don't want to wait any longer for the read, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping that when the socket dropped, we'd be able to recognize that here. My guess is that if we were doing a read at this level, okay, we were doing a read at this level, which would be read a certain number of bytes off the thing, okay, we would have recognized that the socket connection was bad, is my guess. So we've got a couple of choices here. We can sort of put this in a loop where if it times out, right, then we go back, we check, if there's a way to check to see if the connection's still good, then we just we're sort of in here polling a little bit, right?
Okay, you're just constantly checking if it's valid.
Yeah, I don't want to use this because then I need to have a certain amount of bytes that I'm willing to collect. And I don't know how many bytes that should be. That's the nice thing about the buffer. Then I'd have to get into a more complicated sort of protocol.
Got it.
That would be the deadline. So we could do something like this. Sets a read and write deadline associated with a connection equivalent to both. That deadlines is an absolute time in which it fails. Now that sucks that deadlines are absolute time and not sort of duration, but we could do a now with a duration and set that. But in our case here, if I do a set read deadline, so the idea for me would be something like this. We set a read deadline of, that's seconds. Even a lot of time, right? Like a second, let's just say, for now. Okay? And then we're in this sort of loop here. And line can be a variable out here too. Or a line string. Okay. Then here we just got to do a var error. But here's the thing. What are you complaining about here? This value of line is never used. What did we have coming out of here before? Is this not part of the code? Oh, that was weird. Okay, so unreachable code. Oh, yeah, because I'm not breaking, of course. I mean, let me just break that. So what is it not happy about? The surrounding loop is I know, relax a second. I'm not done yet. Now, if this is an error, that might be what we need to check. The read string reads until the first occurrence of the input. Right. If the read encounters an error before finite element, returns a data read before the error, or the error itself, often end of file. So I don't know what the error is going to be, right? Like that's my problem right now.
Okay.
So, but here we definitely want to return an error. Like honestly, it's quite the opposite. If it's almost like if it's not an EOF, then I really want to do a continue in a sense, right? I want to wait again because we reached some sort of deadline, and I need to know what that deadline is. I don't know what the what kind of error it's going to return right now when it gets the deadline. We just don't know what it is. So I think what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to do a print f. I'm going to do this. And we're going to see what sort of value is in there and let it just return. Now, if there is no error, I want to break out of the loop. I don't know why this is a problem. I don't understand this. What I'm saying is do this. If there's an error, let's print this and then break out of the loop. It's almost like it wants me to do this instead, which fine, I'll do that, right? But even here it's complaining. The surrounding loop. Okay, so my linter is not happy with this. So I'm confused right now on what my linter wants me to do. I need essentially an
It always returns to breaks on the first.
read string if error. What is it? I can't remove the for loop because let me go back and look at the original code here. See, we're in this. Oh, if temp. Okay, let's think about this for a second. I'm going to return out of read.
Okay.
If we return EOF or the error is temporary, if it's not temporary, we break. If it's EOF, we break. Else we continue back sort of to the top. Oh, I guess I wrote the logic poorly. If I need to know what kind of error it is to roll back, right? So
Okay.
I'm going to live with this linter error right now until I know more. I don't know enough right now. I understand what it's now complaining about. It's like you're never going to loop. You're out. You're out. So just to leave you alone, I understand what it's complaining about. There's no continue going on right now.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair. What I want to do is I want to see some failure here after a second of read. I want to see what error we get back.
Yeah.
And then I want to see what happens when you sort of drop it. So what we might need to do is give this a 5-second sort of
Okay.
wait. All right, let me do the following. I only need to do that here. So let me rerun the cap. Now establish a socket connection. Okay, I've got a socket connection.
I got that failed to establish TCP.
Okay, so I just got an EOF on, and it was just a regular error string. Okay, so we just got a EOF on the timeout, right? That's what we got at timeout. We got an EOF on the timeout.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to set this to 100 seconds. I'm going to set it to 60 seconds for a second.
Okay.
Okay. I got an EOF on the timeout. That sucks. Because when you drop, I don't get any error messaging, right? Okay, so let's do this for a second. Let me go back to 5 seconds here. I got back an EOF. I want to know, we know it was an EOF, okay?
Yeah.
If it's an EOF, I'm trying to figure out if this socket connection is good anymore.
Okay.
At this level, I just don't have enough. Unless I try to write something, I won't know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Like.
And I don't want to write anything because This is really hard if I'm going to use this buffered reader because I'm not able to identify that you've dropped. You're there. So, and if I stay in this loop, the thing is, if I get EOF, like there's no reason to be in a loop because if I'm in a loop and there's no way to know if I'm bad or not, this is a net, then I can't, like one way you could do it on a network is try to write something. And if the write fails, then great. But I don't want to send anything. Then again, we're ignoring anything that we send, aren't we? Well, technically, we're ignoring anything that we send. So let me think about that. If I were to write something, the funny thing is that if I call close on that, it all shuts down, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is super interesting to me, actually. We're on a read call here. When we implemented this, we might be spinning CPU here, bro.
On the client.
So, I mean, think about this for a second, right? This read is doing what? It's just returning.
Yeah.
It's returning an error, actually.
Yeah.
Which means to me that which means to me here that we call that handler, we get back an error, right? We get back an error. The error is not implemented. And our code here says we've got an error. If it's not temporary close, I wonder if it's an EOF close.
It's breaking.
The problem is that we would drop the connection. So remember something. We established a socket connection to the server. And I said we're only going to do a send, right?
Yeah.
I said we're only going to do a send.
Yeah.
But we assume here that we're going to block on a read. So my guess here is that we have to block on a read. This will allow me, this is going to work. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to bind that to a buff.io, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to sorry, bro, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Whatever. Stop trying to help me for a second. See, I'm not going to do anything in process.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold here looking for, let's say, a carriage return line feed as well. Right? And that's okay. I can just hold here and do that. That way that other loop isn't blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what happens here is the following. I don't care what comes in. I honestly do not care what comes in. We're not going to process it. Just going to ignore it.
Okay.
Okay. Just going to ignore it. So what we can do is read, right? This is, what did we do here for server? We didn't say server or client.
Yeah, I just said binary.
Client read. And I don't have I have a user ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if we said this was a status act? So watch. This is a status act. And client bind, client drop, server handler bind. I call it TCP or didn't I? But it needs to be server. All right, I'll deal with all that in a second. So server drop. We'll fix all the logging in a second.
Look.
But now we can do the following, okay?
Mm-hmm.
See, that right
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm just playing this out
Yeah.
for a second. You see, that right should fail. If I get an EOF, which we know we're going to get,
Yeah.
right? And I send that act, if there's an actual connection, it won't fail.
It won't fail. Okay.
But if there is a connection, it won't fail. But if there isn't, then
server read error.
Right. So kind of the logic I want now is this. I'm going to fix this. So I do a read. It potentially fails, right?
Okay.
If it fails with an EOF, try to send an ACK, right? Try to see if the socket connection is still valid. If it's not valid, then we can send that.
Okay.
Else, we continue and we try again. If it's anything other than an EOF, we just return the error and let the other side sort of deal with it. And actually, we can write this better to say, if we do this and it doesn't fail, then continue. Because then it's an EOF anyway, and the other side will deal with it. So here's my point. My point is that we're going to do a read. It's going to time out in 5 seconds.
Okay.
I'm going to send an ACK. I'm going to try to write something.
Yeah.
That's either going to fail or succeed.
Mm-hmm.
If it succeeds, then I know we just timed out, in which case go back in.
Got it.
And try it again. If it fails, then we're going to send the EOF back to the other side anyway. And then here, we've got that. So I don't know if we have enough crazy logging here, but the first thing I'm going to do is just let this time out every 5 seconds. Okay?
Okay.
We'll see this. We'll see this. And then what I'll just do is I'll say accent, right?
Got it.
Let's just see what happens. So I don't need you to send, all I need you to do is establish a connection. So just establish a connection.
And connection.
Okay. So now in 5 seconds, we got a IO timeout. IO timeout.
Every 5 seconds we're getting IO timeout.
That's good. Now I want you to kill your client.
Well, we also got this error immediately.
I mean, that would have been on this. That shouldn't have shown up there. Okay, so you just dropped, but I'm getting an IO timeout. So hold on. I'm getting this. Oh, but that's not an EOF anymore. That is a NetOp IO timeout. So that's interesting. I'm getting a different error. Okay, let's do this again. This time I'm getting an IO.
No.
I'm getting a not. Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah, you're getting a different error this time.
Say net error. We're just hacking here for now. Okay. So I'm doing an as, and then this as, if true, I got an op error, which I'm getting. Okay. And then the thing is net dot error IO timeout, error timeout. Is there an error timeout? No. .net dot. I thought there was an error timeout. I forgot how to do this. This may be if you're asking for a temporary error or not. I totally forgot how to do this. Temporary error op. Might be temporary. Okay. What if we did this now? We got an op error. Error dot. There's a function called temporary. Okay. So I haven't figured out how I want to do this yet. This should now get me in this loop.
Okay.
At least, because at least I know it's an op error at this point. Okay, it's not an EOF, it's an actual op error. And that's because this is failing every 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
We just got to figure out how to process the right message. So do another socket connection.
Okay, connected. Connection established. Whoa.
Okay.
Temporary, true, send X.
It was temporary error, right? I want you to. Oh, wait.
Why so many though?
Yeah, because it's in a bad loop. So hit Control C.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm still in my loop anymore. Boom.
There it is.
There it is, right? Like I tried to do the right and it failed. This is what we need. This is exactly what we need. We need to know that.
And it hit server drop.
Yeah, we got a TCP event drop. So now if you try to establish a connection again, you're able to do so.
I'm able to do so. Okay.
Right? I took it. Okay, kill it again. We got to fix this. But now we'll get it. Okay.
There it is.
And so the good news is I was right in thinking that this would allow us to show that it's bad.
Yeah.
But the bad thing is this logic caused us to sort of spin pretty hard because it was temporary was true, which it should be. Okay, temporary is true. Remember the logic we have here. If temporary is true, it's just going to go and do another continue on the read.
Yeah.
Correct? So we might get super lucky here. We might get super lucky here. We may not need the loop. I think what we can do is the code that we had before is probably enough. Because that's going to fail. We're going to send that failure back to our regular loop. It's going to say, oh, it's temporary, so come back.
Okay, I see it.
And then with a 5-second sort of delay, right? I just want to put that in there so we can see it. With a 5-second sort of delay, I mean, we can even do it with a log, which means we'll get some time to play with, right? Server read. Oh, we don't have access to a context in this case here. Interesting. Oh, I think we do though. Context. So let's see what happens here for a second. We got to fix logging.
Yeah.
My guess is we'll see this every 5 seconds until you drop. Until you drop. So make a connection.
Connection and
server read waiting. Don't drop it yet. See, that's bad.
Whoa.
You dropped it though, right?
Now I'm dropped.
All right, we have to fix this. Server read waiting. Okay. I have to kill it. So I wonder if I have to set the deadline every single time. I would think you only have to set it once. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, let me try this again. Just all I need, I just need a connection. I don't know why it's almost like I have to reset it every time.
Connection established. Waiting.
Okay, it had to be set every time.
Waiting.
Okay, I want you to kill your socket connection. We got it right away.
Yep. And server drop. So now
you can establish a socket connection again.
Establish again. And then
now you can kill it.
Kill it.
Yeah. Okay. So good news is this code works.
Yeah.
Now I wonder what happens if we're in the middle of a 5-second sort of read deadline, but let's just keep this the way it is.
Okay.
5 seconds is a good amount of time to know that a connection dropped, right? So how beautiful is this now? Like the code that we wrote here is really good because it's working with temporary.
Yeah.
We just needed to set the deadline properly.
So that's essentially what it was missing before. It was just that read deadline.
Right. And so now we know that, right? We're seeing the server drop in our logs here. Hold on a second. Max, come here. You're not. Oh, this damn dog, man, drives me crazy. You gotta go outside. Come here. You got 20 minutes left. Max, come here. All right. Oh, yeah, dude, this dog is a nightmare, man. Okay. So I just wanted to see TCP server. TCP server. Server drop. But I see the event drop here too.
Client G disconnect.
Yeah. Same information that we get on the event anyway, right? So, but we know that, so for me, this logging is, give me the user ID, so that's fine. Okay, so what do we know? We know we've got a server drop here. So we've got a server bind. We now set the deadline, we wait, and then we let the boilerplate code sort of deal with that. And then here, we probably, just to be consistent, call it server process, right? Maybe we follow the same on Marshall. Message received from address, signature check. Okay. Okay, perfect, right? And then what we're doing here, this is like I'm sending a message back to you. So in your logs, you would have seen things like this. You would have seen client read status act. Now, again, we're going to need to set the deadline. So what I would do here, set a deadline. And then I think here we could do client process and just say that, yeah. Because on our process here, we sort of do this, right? If I do the same thing here, let's say, what do we call it? Client. And essentially, though, essentially we could just do this. But instead of ACK, I can do r.data and just turn that into a string, right? Because that's what we're sending on the ACK side, which is here. Sorry. That's server, sorry. Yeah, on the server. Oh, I'm not even doing the send. I'm now getting the drop without having to send anything.
Yeah.
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 It's working now the way it's supposed to, because now when I try to go back into the read, it failed. So I didn't need to do the send. But, however, we're never going to get data on this now, which is fine. But I think we need to do this too, because we weren't getting the drop. Though, if you're the one killing the client connection, I mean,
Yeah.
my cat might go down. So I think we need to do this on this side. We just have to rotate on this 5 seconds, even on both sides. Just because we can't be looping insensively, you know. But I don't need any logging there. Like, we're never going to get to process on this side because this is always going to just time out. So I think this is cool. So let's try this code one more time now. Let me push these changes. Fixing socket drop. Okay. I'm going to rerun everything. So I'm going to do a make run cap, make run TUI.
Okay. I'm gonna connect to you.
Connect to me.
Connected.
Okay, I'm going to connect to you.
Hold on. The client button.
I've now connected to you. Now, send me. See, now we're in this loop, right?
Yep.
Waiting. Which is fine. Send me a message. Okay. Now we're back to this problem.
We're back to that bug.
But you see, Nat's message sent over WebSocket. We have to look at all this. Okay. So let's start with this problem. We received a message from nonce 109, right? I got 109. I expected 110. So let's take a look at that first.
We're not.
Oh, let's start with that first. So that's in this process code here, right? I got the message. I came here, and we were validating
From nonce UN64.
Where is the user found? Okay, where is the code that says server process message received? So here's the log, right? There's the log, message received. We got this data over the socket, right? From Kevin E. I don't know why I said this, but now here, okay. There's two separate things going on here.
Okay.
First thing is that we did get this message from you. Okay. And it went through this whole process here. Okay. And then if user is found, send the message. So message sent over WebSocket. That's good. That's good. That means that it went from here to my local. It went from here to here.
Okay.
And then we went back into a waiting. Okay. Now, why I got a...
But then it's sending...
It might be sending it over nats
and
too.
then now there's not, so it's...
So we have a bug. It's
sending it twice.
Okay, so we'll go through that. So we went from here to here, right? That was beautiful. The other bug we'll deal with.
Yeah.
But that was good.
So when it's...
The question is...
Where it's...
The question is, how did we get to... No, this is right. All of this is right.
Yeah, that's from TCP, but it seems like, and then from here it changes to nats.
Yeah, because we received the message also.
On the bus.
So somehow, I think the bug is in here. The bug was on this side here. This is the UI.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
When we're hitting...
Because there's no return. We did both. See, if there isn't a math, we forgot to do a continue. So remember, we do WebSocket.
Yeah.
So we do a retrieve. If we found it, we do this, we do a continue. If the error is not, then we sort of log the error.
If they don't exist, or if they're
just so we
not,
know
or not,
what that was. Then we try TCP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we try NATs. So we forgot to do this. Now, the problem here is we're not logging an error. So the TCP client manager, which is this cat here, it just returns a regular sort of error.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, if we can't find it, we don't have an error variable to deal with that. So in our case here, there's no reason to log the error because we just couldn't find it. Here we had a very special error message that came back because we have this relationship here. Here we have this lower level relationship. So I think what we're just missing is the continue, which now means that if you kill your cap and start it over, there's that message missing continue. No. Okay, pull latest.
Yep.
Make run cap. You might get some weird Nazi things, but we didn't. Okay. Okay, now the next bug, that happens to be at the client level. That is at the client level. So let's take a look at our data database for a second.
The nonce. Yeah, but maybe that came from it sending it twice. It was trying to increment, like it was expecting two ahead.
Yeah. So maybe this goes away now because it was coming in on both NATs and.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm gonna restart my TUI.
Okay, ready?
You're running.
Connection established.
I have a TCP connection. We're gonna change the color of things.
Yeah.
Send me a message. We now are doing this. This is cool. We have a P2P message. You got that?
Message received from nonce. Yeah.
Now it sucks we have to do this little bit of a polling, but we could get rid of the logs for that now.
Yeah, the noise.
That's just noise, right? Business TCP, and that's on the read side. So we don't need this anymore, right? Like we know that is going to work.
And then now if I kill it,
we're getting it immediately now.
Yeah.
Now watch what happens if I try to. I know you've dropped.
Yeah. So
the next thing is we got to send an event back to the TUI. Now it's just a good thing we have the handler, the drop handler. Because you've got to send a message back to the TUI to say that we don't have a TCP connection anymore. So now what happens if I go, do you get this? Now,
message send, message received.
I should have cleared the window. It still wants
Closing
to send.
Client already removed. Am I too high up?
No.
Might be too high up.
Error closing client already removed. So that we have to look at. We had our drop event, server drop. We're going to need to tell the UI about this.
Mm-hmm.
Client message received. That was you before. So let me do this again here for a second. Did you get this?
There it is.
Okay, so this is a bug because
broken pipe.
It wants to send this over TCP, but we have a broken pipe because we don't have this. But that would mean to me.
Yeah, we're already dropped, so we don't have that connection.
Well, what it means to me is that we don't know that, remember, we're here.
Exactly.
It's still finding this in the client manager.
Yeah.
So for some reason, when we dropped, it's in this particular case, when you dropped, for some reason, this is still finding it. So that's a bug.
On the on the client manager side.
I know, but the client manager is the same thing we use on the drop. So we've got to figure out why retrieve is still finding this, but we're sort of out of time right now. So I'm going to add some notes. But we did good here. Okay. Fix when client TCP drops, the cap is still trying to use TCP, right?
Yeah.
We got to fix this one next. When we fix, we need some UI coloring with.
You have it there.
Yeah. Connections and drops. So we've got a message back and forth. We've got some bugs now. When it drops, it should have switched to NATs.
Exactly.
And it didn't because it's still finding it. But like we're really, really close now to sort of having this. Okay, so we have TCP working at a basic level, right?
Yep.
All right. Cool. So the next thing now is next week when I'm now out of town, we're going to need to find Florin so we can establish a tailscale connection so we can continue to sort of debug this. Because if not, I'm going to have to run 2 caps on 2 different ports and 2 clients.
Because we're not on the same
not on
network.
the same network anymore.
Yeah.
I might have to do that on Thursday. But we're like this close now to getting this working. I'm shocked, though. We must be missing some code. We know we can reestablish a socket connection, so it wasn't in the list. So I don't know why that retrieve is still finding it. We're super close. But the idea is if you drop off a TCP, then I should be going through NATs. Yeah. We've got some UI color.
So it's not recognizing that we
somehow that function still thinks that we're there. And yeah. That's why I tried to use one data set. So it's interesting to me. But now with the drop event, we also be able to fix the UI. Like I want to make that go to another color and then drop it back and stuff. So, exactly. But anyway, we did good. We've got this sort of working, and we've fixed the connection stuff issue. So, sweet. I don't think anybody was with us on this show today, but that's fine. It was totally last moment. So we'll see everybody again next week.